grade, Richard Wright's A Native Son was read. My daughter read Toni Morrison's story, all of the things. So when they got into these spaces where people had already digested and were putting the information back out to my kids, they already had an opinion, right? They could go ahead. This world is, whether we like it or not, is on a currency of information. Mm-hmm. It depends on what information you feed, right? So there were TV shows on one end that my kids wouldn't be able to watch, right? Because I used to say this is bubblegum for the brain. Video games before 10 years old is trouble, right? And I would tell my parents, put that shit in the trunk and stop it. It really does rewire kids' brain. And if you don't think it's true, look at what we have, a pandemic of kids with ADHD who can only focus on the things that bring them immediate high, right? And so it is incumbent for parents to be a capital P parent, particularly in the first 10 years, right? And my kids never, and they still don't have TVs in their bedrooms. My kids don't drink pop. When you have boys in particular, you have to feed them a diet that's heavy in protein early on because their sugar will spike. That all goes into, by 10 years old, the person is made. And now you're dealing with the consequences that are a result of the first 10 years of their life. And so for me, there wasn't anything that would have stopped me from being a mom. That's my first job. That's the best job. That was the only job. Everything else was tangential. And so now to see my kids full circle, my daughter, she just came back from Cali, Colombia, because she said, I need to learn Spanish. Now, that's a very embarrassing point because I'm Puerto Rican and Black, and I should speak Spanish fluently. I don't. That does not take away my Puerto Ricanness from anybody. But she did not want to have the same struggle. And so she went there to do that. But Ashari was so I have two kids. I have a 24-year-old and a 19-year-old. And my son, he was reading by 4. He could program computers. Like, he was the Renaissance man. There wasn't a run, a sport, or anything. He was doing algebra, 5th or 6th grade. He could be the one who's doing the headstands and then turn around and say, here's what it is. Ashari, however, when she was in 1st grade, she tells me on the way to school one day, Mom, how much more of this do I have? I said, how much more of what? She says, school. I said, oh my God, is she my daughter? This can't be the case. Because usually it's the boy who made, based on those assumptions we have about children. Ashari, she came home and she showed me her math notebook. And if she's on, she's like, Mom, I can't believe you're telling people this. But she would write like her math facts and put like 1, 1, and there would be a 2. I said, honey, what operation were you doing? Like, how did you get this? She said, it doesn't matter. They don't check. And I was like, oh my God. Like, she knew. Right. And so for me, I was so upset. And when I go to the school and I said, listen, her beautiful big brown eyes have seduced you and she cannot read. She's not doing this, but because she's so sweet and kind, she's passing. My son, he challenges everything you do. He breaks into the things that he's not supposed to with technology, sure. But he has poor grades because you don't like how he mouths you. These are 2 separate issues, but either way, you're lying to me and I'm calling you on your crap, right? So my son, he went to 9 different schools by the time it was all said and done. We had to homeschool him. I mean, when I tell you it was just a horrible tragedy, but that's ultimately what led up to me deciding I can't do this any worse than anybody else, right? So it was like, look, I'll try my best. I can't do this any worse than anybody else based on my lived experience. And as it turns out, my son, when we homeschooled him in 7th grade, he scored 1,300 on his SAT. He said, what does that mean? I said, that means your Black ass can go to college right now is what it means. He said, is that what that means? I said, yeah, like you're lopsided because your English is better than your math. But I did my job, right, in terms of making sure that they could talk back like the rest of them and all the things. But for me, it was also the second piece to it, not making sure that just academics were there. At some point, we moved from Buffalo, New York to the suburbs of Prince George's County. Love it here, but that was for me, right? I grew up in Buffalo, New York, where while it wasn't a deep, dirty city like that, I still got to ride the metro independently, and I didn't have like adults over me. When we have the suburban kids who don't have independence to freedom to think, that's a problem. And so, again, please don't hang up, guys. I didn't want soft kids. I needed my kids to be able to go ahead and handle themselves in Ward 8 because I couldn't make them feel the pain of what it meant to grow up kind of poor in the city, right? And so when we talk about those stories where you had to take your grandma's food stamps to the store and come back with change or else, right? Today's children don't have those lived experiences to go to the corner store and experience the adventure of what happened going and coming back. And so we moved our kids from a cushy suburb into Ward 8. And that's really where they earn their stripes. And so as a parent, people were like, you did what? I said, I know. However, my kids learned what they needed to know about life. When you put those two things together and you set them across that path, you know, you give the kids, life isn't sheltered. Right. And I understand that parents want to give their kids better, but we really need to assess what better is and how better plays out down the road. My kids can handle themselves in any situation. You know, they have that gut check, but they also have that intellectual prowess where they can go, and they're a force to be reckoned with. And ultimately, at the end of the day, the same applications and values that I assign to raising my own kids live in a Legend School Design. Right? Kids are independent. Kids have to figure stuff out. There's nobody stuffing your folders. And you got to get big time real quick in order to just have the stamina and the discipline to deal with this world. And so, you know, that's the philosophy. I wanted my kids to be able to handle it. And they're doing that now. So that's the best thing for parents, to give them that controlled freedom, but keeping them safe, but not protected or sheltered.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so funny that you hit on that, because me and one of my line sisters was just talking about, you know, my kids unfortunately live a soft life. I'm like, this summer I might need to send them to Aunt Angie's house so that they can understand, like you said, what it's like to go to the, you know, corner store, to hang out. I'm from originally New Haven, Connecticut, and seen a lot, but my kids, you know, they could not make it that environment. So this whole soft parent, what is it, gentle parent, soft parent, whatever it is, it's not really helping this generation at all. It's a true story. My son just walked in the door. Quit. I'm like, why you quit? Because my socks is wet, it's raining, and I don't want to feel the pain. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Boy, it's rain. So, like, you know, it's true. Like, you know, we really need to look at what we're raising, and will that be sustainable? Because in hindsight, the world is getting uglier. It's not getting prettier. And I think, you know, the more soft they are, they don't have that critical thinking skill. They don't have that ability that grit to be able to, you know, go through different things that challenge them. And that's just really, really scary. But I know we want to be respectful of your time. So I want to make sure that, you know, first off, you heard from Miss Atasha. She will be at the conference on March 23rd. Shout out to our co-founder, Jasia. She just joined. Of course, she's a boss, so she's handling something. So she said, I probably won't be on. However, hey, Jasia, we want to encourage you all, guys. We are only about 2 weeks out. So please, please, please make sure you're getting your ticket, grab your girlfriend. These are real conversations that we will curate for you that weekend. So Atasha, I want to make sure that we let the viewers know, how can they continue to follow you, continue to stay plugged in, and if there's one thing, just one word you want them, that you want to leave everyone with today, give that to us.
Evolved. Right.
Tamika?
Ooh. Hunger, I think.
And I'm going to say bold. I think from, you know, what Atasha just dropped on us, I love that you said Renaissance, like just evolve, bold. I mean, we keep saying, keep showing up, but it's just, I'm not even going to say anymore. Y'all get your ticket, come to the conference, and you will be able to experience and see and hear all the great things. So again, Atasha, just want to thank you for the time. We cannot wait to see you in 2 weeks. We're going to have a great time. So thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Yes, I can't wait to see you guys and talk some more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.